Huh? Who's there? What the... A ghost?
It's that time of year where people dress up and eat candy, look at scary movies, masturbate to Elvira, and we all watch Cinemassacre's Monster Madness! James Rolfe is having his last full 31 days in 2016's Monster Madness 10, where he reviews a horror film every day for 31 days. It's like the 12 days of anime, only with 31 days. And it's horror. Monster Madness will still be here next year, but it just won't be the complete 31 horror reviews. I would like to do something similar. It is possible to make 31 days of horror anime, especially with all of the obscure OVAs that exist, but I just don't have the energy to do that. So instead, I have this top 10 list, and hopefully this could be a yearly tradition. Note, the term Halloween anime doesn't mean anime that are the most fucked up or terrifying. No, this is a list of shows that best represents the Halloween spirit, which will include some blood and gore, but also series that kiddies can enjoy. Take Toonsylvania, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Scooby-Doo, or The Book of Life. They're not scary shows, but they definitely fall in the horror genre or Halloween category, so expect certain anime to fall into that position. If you'd rather spend your time watching the most disturbing horror anime or reading gritty manga, then here's a list. Or you could watch What the Fucktober by Mr. Falcon Punch 996, where he talks about his experience with some of the craziest anime and manga, like Kekko Kamen, Butt Attack Punisher Girl, Go Nagai, and Japanese horror films. Enough with the holiday greetings, and like they say at Goosebumps, viewer beware, you're in for a scare. Number 10, Soul Eater. Yeah, let's get the obvious anime out of the way. Remember back in 2008 when Soul Eater was cool? I remember when it was cool. I certainly do. Especially before Soul Eater Not, because it's not Soul Eater! If you didn't know by now, the Soul Eater anime ended in the original/filler ending because the manga wasn't finished yet. But now the manga is done, so you have the option of going either ways or both ways. The basic setup of the series are Deathmeisters and their weapons, who are trained to become gods of death. Most of their conflict comes from either disagreements or battles against the snake arrow witch Medusa Gorgon and her sister Arcane Gorgon. I never read the entire manga, so I don't know how the series turned out in its conclusion, but I still recommend it. However, if you want a very serious approach between the relationships of weapons and meisters, watch Noragami. It's basically Bleach done right. On a related note, when Soul Eater aired on TV again, it returned with new openings and closing songs. I just wanted to share that in case you didn't know. Soul Eater is not a favorite of mine, but you gotta acknowledge his presentation and visuals and style, which reeks of Halloween, and especially Tim Burton. There's mummies, werewolves, zombies, mosquito vampires, the Grim Reaper's son Death the Kid, Dr. Frankenstein, Snake Lady, Hot Sexy Spider Lady, and Blair the Sexy Cat Girl, witch, and a ninja. For some reason, this doesn't really fit with the whole Halloween gimmick. I mean, why throw in a ninja other than to cash in on Naruto's popularity? Soul Eater could fall under the horror category, but it's not a terrifying show by any means. It can be dark, but excels more with diversity and the festive spirit of Halloween. We're really going old school with this one, and I wish I could really mean that because there's no number 9. The anime series I wanted to talk about is from Tezuka Productions, who will give me a manually detected claim and it will jeopardize the entire video, even with only pictures. I don't feel safe showing anything other than these spider webs. I don't see why would they want to monetize my video for themselves, especially when there's not that many views because nobody in the anime community talks about Osamu Tezuka, or even watches or reads his stuff. And here I am, trying to share something that deserves recognition at the price of not earning anything for myself, despite I'm the one doing the work. What I wanted to talk about was the horror anime from 1969 named Dororo, aka Dororo and Hyakimaru, a 4x3 black and white anime which recently got licensed by Discotek and released in a 4-disc DVD set. If you want to know what the story is about, you're gonna have to click the link in the description. It's not the greatest horror series due to a couple of inconsistencies, but its age and atmosphere will be a very appropriate series for the Halloween spirit, especially it's in black and white. All I can say, it's a revenge story where a young man is robbed of 48 of his body parts by yokai. With each yokai he slays with his sword, his body becomes more human, but the journey is filled with the risk of becoming the very thing he hunts. A modernized version of his story is found in Young Blackjack episodes 9, 10, and 11. Someday I'll make a proper video to this series.
Happy flavor. Aw. We have to do it anyway, so why not make it super happy? Let's give witches a completely new image.
Number 8, Little Witch Academia. FYI, this has nothing to do with My Hero Academia. You don't know how many times I kept making the typo, My Little Witch Academia. Wait a minute, that's not right. So, My Little Witch Little Witch Academia is about a school for witches. Not magical girls, but European witches with the English flag and everything. This is one of the few anime that feels like a 90s Disney cartoon. It's so clean and innocent and has this magic charm to it. I don't know what makes it so appealing. Perhaps that it can easily be rated G or PG anime? This anime is created by Studio Trigger, and surprisingly there's no naughty jokes or suggestive weeaboo material, nor relies on anime references for jokes. You can still see some Trigger-ish moments, but for the most part it focuses on telling a slice-of-life story of girls wanting to be witches. It's sort of like an all-girls school of Hogwarts, and I really hope this anime becomes a big hit in the West. I mean, this is so nice, so sweet, and I feel this is something you need to show your kids. Little Witch Academia has a short episode from 2013, and a movie from 2015, and we'll finally have an anime TV series in January 2017 on Netflix. Hopefully this means that the English dub will be immediately available. So when the show premieres, give it a chance. I want this to be big. Let's finally have an anime series that caters to people of all ages and demonstrate not every anime is porn or some battle shonen. Anime can be great, and My Little Witch Academia can be the best example of— oh god! I messed it up again.
Never forget, believing is your magic.
Why, good afternoon, yo! Thank you all for stopping by.
Number 7, One Piece Thriller Bark. Once again, One Piece made it to the list, but specifically, I'm referring to the Thriller Bark arc being episodes 337 through 381, which is 45 episodes. After recovering an interest in the series, I noticed that arcs gain a shift in tone, which is the most obvious in these episodes. Ever since Skypiea, Oda has been far more creative in creating settings, but also a fashion sense. Thriller Bark has such a drastic change in visuals that it feels like a different show. For a series about pirates, I don't think anyone saw this change coming. I suppose this was the start of Oda's darker art style as seen later in Impel Down and Big Mama's House. However, Thriller Bark isn't perfect. One of the things I noticed is that there is a lot of running in this arc. A good chunk of the beginning is nothing but Chopper, Usopp, and Nami running away. Even Gekko Moria, the main villain, runs away from Luffy. But what I do appreciate is most battles taking place in the same location. Unlike the CP9 arc where fights kept getting interrupted back and forth, I really appreciate for the final battle to take place in one spot with all of those Straw Hats with little distractions. Thriller Bark has just about the typical Halloween monsters such as Ghost, a mad scientist, the Invisible Man, whatever Gekko Moria is, but mostly zombies and very disturbing looking ones. I personally felt this arc could have been a lot better in terms of story, especially with the newcomer Brook barely gets to do anything, but at the very least, the story ends with a very tearful finale. Even Speedwagon is afraid! Number 6, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. More than likely you already heard or seen a parody of this series via other anime, and it's currently the most hyped battle shonen for the next 2 to 4 years-ish, before it turns into a seinen. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is an interesting story, for changing the main character in every part. In fact, even the tone and art style has changed throughout the decades. Originally released in 1987, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is best described as a shonen horror, which stars the many family feuds between the Joestar family and the Brando family. As the story continues, we will meet different members of the family tree, each with a new setting, new villains, and new powers. However, out of the 4 anime parts available, what makes JoJo suitable for a Halloween anime? Well, part 1 has the obvious vampire origin story, which will make a full circle in parts 3 and 6. Part 1, Phantom Blood, takes place in England, which features Hamon or Ripple martial artists who wield the power of the sun as they battle vampires and zombies. Part 2, Battle Tendency, we meet the creators of the vampires, who are a race of ancient beings, whom the top brass are called Pillarmen. This is a very original take of a creature that is vampire-ish. You'll find out the more you watch. However, in Part 3, Stardust Crusaders, the Hamon fighting style is replaced with stands, physical manifestations of the soul, and the series will continue to use stands while almost completely removing the previous powers of Hamon. Stardust Crusaders and Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, are the anime that could be the most recommendable for Halloween due to various horror movie references. While 1 and 2 were mostly on story, Part 3 is responsible for creating the episodic formula of battling an outrageous amount of villains in a very episodic fashion, which leads to many familiar adversaries. For example, there's a stand in Part 3 named Death 13, who has the same powers as Freddy Krueger, and I think you can figure out the rest just by sheer appearances. In Part 4, the series makes me think of John Carpenter's Halloween, simply because it takes place in a quiet neighborhood, but even with that setting, JoJo still manages to be creative with his frightening looking stand abilities. Most of JoJo is filled with monster-like enemies, and usually brings something new to the table, which could either be something that's definitely scary, or something along the lines of a B-horror film such as Killer Squirrels. This horror content primarily flourishes in parts 1 through 4, but the rest of JoJo isn't really about horror anymore, but there's still a lot of disturbing scenes and really gruesome stands. Part 5, we have the stand Grateful Dead, which causes people to age until they die. In Part 6, the stand Limp Bizkit can create zombies, but not just any zombies. Invisible zombie alligators! What the fuck? JoJo is so diverse, you can make your own playlists of favorite episodes and watch them during the spooky holiday. I would also recommend watching the OVAs for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, simply because of the more serious and darker take of the story. In my opinion, this early version of JoJo handles the horror in a more presentable format, basically taking out the B-horror moments and its silly scenes. The original 1993 adaptation feels like a compact film, or a best of Stardust Crusaders, especially with its ominous music, zero censorship, and for portraying Dio in his most vampiric appearance. Of course, JoJo is known for being over the top, but I think Araki's sense of humor is what prevented most of JoJo to become a horror classic, along the lines of Vampire Hunter D, Wicked City, Devilman, Blood the Last Vampire, and the next thing I'm gonna mention in this list. Whatever version you prefer, we could definitely say that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure has entered the mainstream, especially that now it's officially licensed, officially dubbed into English, and for finally airing on Toonami.
Blood is thicker than water. Get ready for the premiere of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Saturday, October 15th at 12:30. JoJo! Toonami on Adult Swim.
Number 5, Night Warriors, Darkstalkers Revenge. I know it's not really an anime, but I don't care. I mean, Higurashi and Gungrave are based on games, yet everyone treats them like anime, so why the hell not? Games are not my area of expertise, so please forgive me if I get something wrong. This OVA adaptation is based on Darkstalkers Revenge, which is why the story is focused primarily on the Darkstalkers Donovan, Anita, Cienko, and Mei-Ling. In other words, if you're going into this expecting Morrigan and Dimitri to play a big role in the story, you're gonna get disappointed. Donovan and Anita create the story's theme of people struggling with their humanity, or the lack of humanity. Other themes are coexistence, repentance, and acceptance, which will remind me of the Disney series Gargoyles, a story about protectors of the night who can't be part of the sunlit world or its people, since they are monsters. Donovan's grief easily represents this, which is the source of his inner conflict, as he hunts the Dark Ones, but he's half human, half vampire. In other words, Donovan Bane is a Dhampir, like Vampire Hunter D. Being a creature of the night who sacrifices his safety to slay evil, Donovan questions his actions as justifiable or just murder. Other characters play similar roles, wondering if they should even bother protecting humans despite their heroic deeds, which is similar to the X-Men. These disrespected, oppressed characters really took me by surprise, and I find the resolve very inspiring. This is definitely my favorite Capcom series for getting me sucked into this world of dark fantasy and its troubled cast. I really wish this was a full anime series, but the ending does manage to give some peace to Donovan's and Anita's journey. This OVA has recently been rescued by Discotech in a remastered 2-disc DVD format. If you like Darkstalkers, I recommend you watch the videos by the Nostalgic Gamer called Meet the Darkstalkers and the Darkstalkers Forever project, which include retrospectives and character profiles. I guess the best way to describe the story of Darkstalkers Revenge is comparing it to the humanitarian themes of Devilman and Berserk. The OVA is nowhere as dark as those series, but it will hopefully give you a similar feeling of sorrow, anguish, and tragedy.
With a series like Darkstalkers, the team was dealing with uniquely scary and mostly serious demon characters, so they didn't restrict themselves to happy endings. In fact, some of the endings to the characters' stories are quite dark or depressing, where players are made to feel like characters simply cannot escape their tragic fate. Murata believed that this was an essential part of what made Darkstalkers that much more interesting when compared to other games available at the time. Through Donovan and Anita, players are given a glimpse into how the existence of the Darkstalkers would have an effect on the innocent people who inhabit this world. Not only does it provide a perspective from those whose lives were victimized, but also how the rest of society views and treats them. Donovan fights these creatures and asks for no reward, yet he is still alienated by others as an outcast, and someone who is forever beneath them.
Even as they revere us as hunters of the dark, still they drive us from the warmth of their human light.
Number 4, Ghost Sweeper Mikami. Hey, you want something like Ghostbusters? This is the closest anime you're ever gonna get to that. Unless you count Mob Psycho 100, even though it's more about espers. Ghost Sweeper Mikami are about ghost sweepers who exorcise demons, ghosts, apparitions, vampires, monsters, yokai, just about everything. Our main trio of characters consists of the horny pervert Yokoshima, the ghost Okinu, and the gold digger Mikami Reiko. The whole running gag of the series is how greedy she can be, and what lengths she will do for money. Meanwhile, Yokoshima is fueled by lust and will do just about anything to get laid. I'd do anything to get a piece of Mikami. I mean, damn, for a main female character, she is very curvaceous. Unless you lived in Mexico or in the United Kingdom, you probably never heard of this series. In America, the main Ghostbuster anime was Yu Yu Hakusho. Meanwhile, in Mexico, people were watching the Spanish dub of Ghost Sweeper Mikami called Mikami La Casa Fantasmas.
Mikami, Mikami, La Casa Fantasmas, Rosada Mirada.
And supposedly in the UK, certain episodes actually aired with an English dub. I remember seeing an English description written somewhere, but I have no idea where. I think it was Wikipedia, but that information isn't there anymore. However, I did find 2 short YouTube videos which feature an English dub of episodes 27 and 32.
I don't know what this guy's problem is, but if he really wants to marry me, well, then he must be stupid.
But come on, you don't know if he's meant to be or not.
I know I'm just pretending to be her boyfriend, but I'm her boyfriend for the night. Calm down, Tadao Yokoshima. This is the first time this has ever happened to me.
I have no idea where the source is from, but my guess is Animax Asia, or maybe it is a UK English dub. Hopefully one day we'll find the truth. Currently, the only English dub material that does exist is the movie released by Manga Entertainment. The TV anime series is available by Sentai Filmworks and subtitle only. GS Mikami can be dark when it wants to, but it's mostly episodic comedy. Not saying it's a bad show, but it's not great either. It's something I personally like since its humor reminds me of a bit of Slayer's. In fact, Mikami's character seems like an older and sexier Lina Inverse in both looks and personality. If I didn't know any better, I'd say Mikami is Lina's older sister. The main appeal of this anime is not the story, but the characters and the way they play off each other. I recommend watching the movie as an introduction, especially for having the most overpowered vampire in anime ever. I mean, just look at what's wrong in this picture. I just love how silly it can be. If you're in the mood for something that's more on the fun side while dealing with the occult, then look no further than Ghost Sweeper Mikami. All of the episodes are available for streaming on Toei Animation's Number 3, Hell Teacher Nube. When I was in elementary school, I liked to read and watch Goosebumps, and Hell Teacher Nube is its closest thing to that. Its tone is similar to Ghost River Mikami, especially if you grew up watching Spanish television. As I said before, GS Mikami had a Spanish dub, and Hell Teacher Nube received the same. It's such a missed opportunity for North America not licensing these shows, which could have made up the 90s Big 3 Ghostbusters anime. Like Mikami, Hell Teacher Nube is completely episodic, but unlike the Ghost Sweeper, this series is much darker.
I need you.
Oh, that was painful. Nube is the nicknamed teacher from Hell who educates a class of elementary school students. His left hand contains a sealed Oni, which leads to a sad backstory which made him become a teacher. I'm not gonna spoil what it is, but here's the list of related episodes. So, every episode features some ghost / demon / yokai, whatever, attacking his students, and he must use his skills of exorcism to banish them or destroy them. Even with this episodic formula, it's still entertaining as it never feels repetitive, especially with its multiple uses of scary things that are so fucking creepy. In episode 33, there's this ghost that if you see jumping on a house, it's gonna kill someone in the family. So it's surprising how some episodes can be so sweet and hilarious and the next one be some really dark stuff. When Nube says his incantation to activate the Oni hand, I find the dialogue to be something out of The Exorcist, especially when you hear it in the Spanish dub, which is a straight up prayer.
El universo y la tierra, denme más poder para que el diablo se rinda y aparezca la luz de la victoria. El universo y la tierra, denme más poder para que el diablo se rinda y aparezca la luz de la victoria. El universo y la tierra, denme más poder para que el diablo se rinda y aparezca la luz.
Madre de Dios! This is a kids show, why is it so dark? The reason I brought up the Spanish dub is because I'm actually Hispanic. I originally saw Ghost Sweeper Mikami on TV, but I never knew about Hell Teacher Nube till J-Star's Victory Versus. Hell Teacher Nube is not a licensed series, and at the time, there was only bad English subs going around. I didn't want to deal with that, so I instead jumped to the Spanish dub. However, now there's good English subs for Hell Teacher Nube, so you don't have to worry about anything. The anime also has 3 movies and 3 OVA episodes, and the best part is the OVAs are canon, because the final OVA episode feels more like a movie than the actual movies. The colors are different, the animation is higher, the battles are epic, and its perfect sense of humor is closer to its manga. I can definitely say Hell Teacher Nube is more emotional than Ghost Sweeper Mikami, especially episodes 47 and 48, which are probably the best ones of the entire series. Hell Teacher Nube is a genuine horror anime that definitely deserves to be seen in the Halloween season. Hopefully it'll get licensed someday so more people can watch it.
Viewer beware, you're in for a scare.
Number 2, Hell Girl. This anime can be considered to be a horror anthology, a collection of different stories of people encountering the guide of hell, I Enma, the Hell Girl. Hell Girl is similar to Japanese horror films like The Ring or The Grudge. Speaking of, did you know they had a Versus crossover? The stories of Hell Girl all center on Japanese people who go through some rough times, which can involve bullying, sexual harassment, sexual assault, domestic violence, losing a family member, animal abuse, getting arrested, dark stuff that can happen in real life. There's a rumor going around that a special website appears at midnight called the Hell Correspondence. By entering a person's name, you can banish that person to hell, regardless of what sins they commit. Many people who seek revenge decide to search for this website, only to discover that the urban legend is real. I Enma offers a straw doll with a red string. If you pull the string, the person who you seek revenge on will immediately go to hell. However, when you die, your soul will be sent to hell. Despite hearing the consequences, you will be surprised how many people are drowning in so much grief that they are willing to pull the string. The entire anime is very episodic, but the first season suffers from being too repetitive. The stories become so obvious, especially when you hear the same pieces of music being played in similar scenes over and over again, but the soundtrack is really good. It's apparently made by two people, being Hiromi Mizutani, who did the music for Toriko and the Naruto Shippuden movies, but the other guy is someone you will really recognize, Yasuharu Takanashi, who did the music for Shiki, New Fist of the North Star, Gantz, Ikitozen, Beelzebub, Fairy Tail, Naruto Shippuden, and the list goes on. The series doesn't get interesting until midway through, as it starts getting plot related with the Shibata family, researching what Hellgirl is, or learning about the origins of this necessary evil. However, Season 2, The Two Mirrors, had a very grand finale, and fixed the problems of Season 1. Two Mirrors even had episodes that didn't end in tragedy, and we even learned more about the members of Hell Correspondence. It's such a good sequel, especially how fast it came out. In today's anime of the 2010s, when something gets confirmed for a second season, it usually takes a year to come back. The original Hellgirl was 26 episodes and ended in April 5th, 2006. And Two Mirrors premiered in October 6th, 2006. Wait, Season 2 came out within 6 months after the original series ended? Hellgirl is not based on a manga, so for it to come back within 6 months, 26 new episodes, surpassing fans' expectations and concluding with a satisfying ending, this is an achievement. Sadly, I can't say the same for Season 3, Three Vessels. It's almost a tradition for horror films to receive an unnecessary sequel that sucks in comparison to its previous parts. Hellgirl suffers the same fate with Three Vessels. It came out in 2008, which was around the time fan service was starting to be a thing, and the episode started to feel more like a B-horror in contrast to the A-horror that it used to be. It just doesn't meet the same standard as the Two Mirrors or the first series. It's 26 episodes long, but you don't have to go out of your way to watch it. The first season of Hellgirl is an out-of-print series. Originally, it was dubbed and released by Funimation. Season 2 and 3 were released by Sentai Filmworks and subtitled-only DVDs. I don't think this anime is for everybody. I will warn you, it is a hard show to watch, given how depressing the series can be. An example are the episodes featuring animal abuse. Back when I first saw this anime, I didn't have any dogs, so it didn't bother me too much, but now I have dogs, so I don't think I can ever watch those episodes. It's not a violent or bloody show, but Hellgirl's horror comes from its people and their dark desire to bring misfortune to others. Now we're finally at the #1 spot. So, how about some honorable mentions? Here's the thing, I'm planning to do this again next year, and what series will I talk about? Oh, I have some ideas. Obvious foreshadowing, so until 2017, let's set over the conclusion of the 2016 list. Number 1, Devilman. This series is a horror masterpiece with a historical background, but most importantly, this manga was made in 1972, and even in 2016, it does not have an anime. Well, to be more accurate, there has been a couple of anime adaptations, but none have ever completed the story of the tragic superhero. Most people are familiar with the OVA adaptations being The Birth and The Demon Bird, but not many know the full story of the manga it's based on. What makes Devilman a big deal is its legacy. It may be an old manga, but it became an influence to many series ranging from Parasite, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Hell Teacher Nube, and especially Berserk. But even more surprising, there's more than one Devilman. Similar to American comics, Devilman is a character who keeps getting reinterpreted in every decade, either by the original author Go Nagai or by various other people or anime adaptations. Most of it is manga material, which include Shin Devilman, Neo Devilman, Demon Knight, Devilman Lady, Amon the Dark Side of Devilman, Devilman vs. Hades, Devilman Grimoire, and the current 2014 series Devilman Saga. Devilman's most recent appearance was in the 2015 3-episode OVA crossover Cyborg 009 vs. Devilman, available on Netflix.
It's not that I can't resist. I choose not to. If I didn't experience even 1/1000th of her agonizing pain, I couldn't ever forgive myself!
So with this big reputation, why hasn't there been a complete anime, or why haven't people heard of it? Despite its popular presence in Japan and Italy, in America, none of the manga's licensed. Correction, none of the author's manga have ever been licensed. Go Nagai is a very important individual in the manga business. He is known as the devil of manga, and without him, we would not have violence and ecchi. Go Nagai pushed what was allowed in manga and would constantly get in trouble with the PTA. He is a controversial person, but he is responsible for mainstreaming certain genres and concepts, such as the idea of a pilot being inside the super robot, the nude magical girl transformation, a hero using the powers of darkness to battle evil, raunchy humor, the rocket punch, the excessive violence, the edginess. That was all Go Nagai. But what's so strange is despite making over 100 manga series, not a single one has been licensed, in contrast to someone like Osamu Tezuka, or any old mangaka of his generation. Sure, not everything he does is good, but Devilman or his autobiography manga, Gekiman, definitely deserve to be licensed. So with all of this build-up, what is Devilman about? Out of the many manga he's done, Devilman is Go Nagai's best work. I made several videos of the series, even a character profile of Devilman, so I'm gonna keep exposition to a minimum. Akira Fudo merges with a demon and becomes Devilman, who vows to protect humanity and kill the demon tribe. Initially, the story begins with pure exposition and build-up, leading to Demon of the Week formula, but it gradually becomes a terrifying tale based on the real tragedies of the Salem witch trials and the Vietnam War. What started as a dark superhero story turned into a nightmare for the main character, Akira Fudo. The demons in this series are capable of disguising themselves as people and would eat humans in secret. They are also able to merge with other living beings and objects as a way to increase their power. When scientists discover the demon's ability of human disguises, this causes a worldwide panic. Soon the military gets involved and begin a demon hunt, which suspected people would be executed. But sometimes, people were falsely accused, leading to the deaths of many innocents like the Salem witch trials. Devilman is a character who struggles with self-control, but his current view of justice is being tested. Akira abandoned his humanity to protect people, but as his war continues, the humans are becoming more evil than the demons. The story continues to become darker to the point where events become hopeless. Another element to the story is Akira's girlfriend Miki, and his best friend Ryo Asuka, and I think you notice the similarities with Parasite and Berserk, and you definitely will see the end of Evangelion by the time you complete the story. The manga itself is only 5 volumes long, but it manages to share a tragedy that will never be forgotten. Kentaro Miura definitely didn't forget with the eclipse. Devilman contains an Armageddon which reflects human history and Go Nagai's personal fears. This is spoiler territory, so I don't want to ruin it. If you're familiar with the mentioned titles, then you can imagine the possibilities. So what can possibly happen in a story of a dark superhero? Honestly, it's a bleak darkness that I have never encountered before. There has been other series which may have been more emotional for me, and I know other people have gotten depressed over the same things, but the conclusion in Devilman is something that no other manga writer or artist will ever dare to do, or may not even be allowed to go in that sad direction. I personally feel an anime adaptation could better express that feeling of utter despair, if given the opportunity. As of 2016, Devilman is 44 years old and will turn 45 in June 11, 2017. It's very overdue for an anime. If it doesn't get one by its 50th birthday in 2022, then I don't think it ever will. When it first came out, Devilman was controversial, as noted in an interview between the creator of Berserk and an editor. Under the section, Would Never Let You Write Volume 13, there's a paragraph that says, "Having read Berserk, there's something I never have let you do if I were assigned to it. In Volume 10, when we're about to find out how Griffith gets ahead, he seduces Charlotte with ease. That really hurt. I felt like you were trying to bring the story to a climax, to hurry to Volume 13 to make a homage to Devilman. But I was reading Devilman as it came out, and that kind of out-of-control storytelling wasn't a good idea in a shonen manga. Even in Berserk, I knew what would happen in Volume 13 after Griffith fell. So far, the ending of Devilman is what makes it great, but it seems to also prevent itself from being known in anime format or to other countries. Currently, this is a rumor and speculation. There hasn't been an official word as to why an anime hasn't happened or why hasn't the manga been licensed. I can only hope one day that it will happen, and that it will exceed my expectations. So if you have time to spare, read the 5-volume manga, or if you don't like to read, then I recommend watching my video so you can learn more about Devilman. And this marks the end of 2016's Top 10 Halloween Anime. I'm not sure what the next Top 10 list will be, maybe the Top 10 Hispanic characters, or the Top 10 superhero anime, or a Top 25 womanly character, or something else, but I hope you enjoyed this video. And remember, Devilman will forever be in our hearts, or at least, in my heart.